Welcome. Thank you for joining us for our last webinar of the year. I'm delighted to talk to you today about how you can make your website your very best salesperson and the Hubspot founded growth-driven design methodology that sits behind this. Some of you joined us last time for our overview session on growth-driven design, and a couple of you are new, so we'll quickly cover the high-level concept before diving into today's theme of optimization. Very quickly, I'll introduce myself and Moment and address why we have aligned ourselves as HubSpot's growth-driven design methodology, hopefully assuring you that I am indeed qualified to talk to you about this today. So our mission at Moment is to help good brands grow sustainably. And for that to happen, it's important for us to focus on the kind of web and marketing activities that really generate a return on investment for our clients. I've worked in marketing, primarily digital, for much of the last 10 years, having started life in global accounts at Microsoft before moving to large and small agencies, working around the UK and also in Australia. I believe what I've brought to the Moment is a well-rounded perspective of what marketing can be, namely a revenue generator rather than the cost center it's long been thought of as. And so to widen this mission, Moment supports things like the Better Business Act and have gained our living wage accreditation for our 14 team members. And personally, I'm an advisory board member for industry body the Marketing Society, as well as the Data and Marketing Association. I guest lecture at universities like Robert Gordon in Aberdeen, and holistically we aim to influence and affect change within our industry at all levels and around the world. It was a natural fit then for us to align ourselves with HubSpot as a technology partner. We know firsthand the importance of streamlining your sales and marketing activities to achieve growth. And so leveraging their best-in-class customer relationship management, CRM, sales and marketing automation complements our workflows entirely. For a long time, we've believed in their inbound marketing philosophy, one that centers marketing around helping people, because when good for the customer means good for your business, your company can grow better over the long term. And so adopting another methodology of theirs in the shape of growth-driven design was the perfect opportunity for us to take a better approach to website design to the market. And this is where we started our last session. If you ask most people what the role of their website is, they'll likely tell you that it's to be a digital brochure or an online shop window. And that's the first assumption that we're here to tackle. Put simply, your website should be, and it can be, your best marketing asset and your best salesperson. But there's a few key reasons why it might not currently be performing, chiefly amongst which is today's theme of optimization. So I've got a very quick question to ask you, which should be appearing on your screens shortly. Here we go. So I want to know, when was the last time that your company made an impactful change to your website? For example, looking at something like on-page SEO or a content gap analysis, and don't worry, we'll come back to each of these things later in the discussion. I'm just keen to get a pulse. So is it in the last year, the last 1 to 3 years, or perhaps more than 3 years ago? A couple of people add their answers in here. Brill. Thank you very much. And so we can see it's actually quite a mix across the board. And the good news, certainly for those of you in the 1 to 3 or more years category, is that you are absolutely not alone. So this is what HubSpot found. 42% of marketers only make an impactful improvement to their website once or less each year. And I really want everyone to just think about that for a second. Given that your website can be your company's #1 marketing asset. It's often the first place that people will go to get information and get first impression of your business. And that it can also be your company's #1 salesperson, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to nurture people through the sales process. Instead of being neglected for years potentially with minimal updates, shouldn't this important asset get the resources and attention it needs to continue being a top performer? So what might be standing in your way? As those of you from the last session know, we fundamentally believe that the traditional process of web design is broken, and that can be frustrating. There are lots of reasons, from the amount of money it takes to deliver a potentially suboptimal product over quite a long time period, to the time it takes your team to manage a multi-stakeholder process. The average website redesign for a SME business can cost between £12,000 and £60,000 or even more for an enterprise business. And on average, it takes 3 to 6 months to build a redesigned website. You plan every step of the timeline, when things are delivered, when things need to be approved, and when things are handed off to specific teams. Yet how many times does the website project go over budget or miss a deadline? Think about your previous web design projects. Were they always launched on time? Did they stay in scope and on budget? Things happen and obstacles arise for all sorts of reasons. And really what we find is that most teams have been approaching web design projects in the same way for the last 20 years. But if you can take a step back, such as by joining this webinar today, then I'm here to tell you that there is a better way. So high-level, growth-driven design is a smarter approach to web design that reduces the frustration and the risk of traditional web design. It drives optimal results by learning about your visitors through data and continually improving the performance of the site. And growth-driven design improves the entire company through sharing user learnings with other departments and helps users achieve their goals by using the website. Think of the role of the website not just for your marketing and sales function, but for human resources and customer service teams, for example. And versus traditional website design, growth-driven design spreads risk, allowing you to launch quickly and then improve over time. It leverages key concepts from lean and agile ways of working to deliver projects in time and on budget. And it gives you confidence that results are going to be achieved as decisions are driven by data rather than opinions, and wrapped around a process of continuous improvement. Again, our last session provided a high-level overview of growth-driven design, so I'm not going to rehash that today. It is on YouTube if you're interested. Like and subscribe. So needless to say, GDD, if you will, is a process that stands apart from the more traditional all-or-nothing, set-it-and-forget-it approach to website design and development. It has 3 major stages: the strategy, the launchpad, and then continuous improvement. In the strategy phase, the goal is to develop an empathetic understanding of your audience and how the website can solve problems along their journey. In the launchpad phase, the goal is to quickly build a website that looks and performs better than what you have today, but crucially isn't the final product. Rather, your launchpad is a foundation you'll build upon and optimize. But it's the last stage that we'll be focusing on today. The goal of the continuous improvement stage is to start identifying the high impact actions you can take once you've already launched your Launchpad website to grow your business based on real user data. This stage is all about continuously driving user value and business growth through your website every month. As simple as this sounds, it's hard to do. Knowing exactly how and how not to invest the team's time to maximize your progress can be overwhelming. Firstly, the list of things you could optimize on the website is endless. It's likely that your team and company will be continually adding ideas to your wish list. The chief exec, your boss, other departments, and your customers and prospects are all pulling in sometimes different directions. Meanwhile, your team may already be overworked and not quite getting the results that you hoped for yet. It can be a struggle to keep this web ship afloat. Well, let me introduce you to one of the key tools of growth-driven design. It's called the Website Performance Roadmap. The above problematic scenarios are exactly what the Website Performance Roadmap was built to solve for. It's a framework used by the strategist or the person on your team accountable for the website vision and results during any planning. The framework helps ensure the team is investing its time in building the highest impact items to drive value to the user and maximize results. More specifically, using a website performance roadmap will create focus. The team will know exactly what to focus on and, more importantly, sometimes what to ignore. And crucially, those decisions will be based on data. This focus will reframe the lens through which the team thinks about the website, making it easier to understand problems and generate new ideas. The roadmap structure will set clear expectations with your stakeholders, other departments, and the big boss. It will help you communicate where the website's headed and why, so they understand. The website performance roadmap also brings clarity to the long-term vision of the website. It helps you tell the story of how the website will evolve and where continuous improvement investments will be focused in 6, 12, 18 months from now. Lastly, each area of the website performance roadmap has a specific set of metrics to track over time. This helps you measure, communicate, and take action on the progress your team is making. So the website performance roadmap is a wonderful framework to use during the continuous improvement stage of growth-driven design. How does it work and what are the individual elements? Let's take a look. So there are broadly 3 different elements that make up the website performance roadmap: themes, focus areas, and tactics. Each element is nested under the previous one, creating a decision tree. On top is the theme, which once selected will determine the focus areas, which once selected will determine the tactics. To explain how all these elements fit together, let's use an analogy. And because we're all perhaps now looking forward to the holidays, despite the imminent prospect of being locked down again, let's say your team is taking a trip for a planning retreat. The retreat, your end destination, is like the website goals your team set in the strategy phase of this process. It's where you want to end up. When you first set out on your trip, you enter your final destination into Google Maps. This produces your initial route for navigating to the resort. This initial route is like your Launchpad website, an initial idea of how to best get to your goals. Your team embarks down the initial route, but as you travel, you're pulled away from that route by detours, side attractions, and local sightseeing spots. This is similar to what happens in the continuous improvement phase of growth-driven design. There are new ideas, the website's performance changes, departments need help, the market shifts, and so on. So how do you react to this constant change and successfully keep the team moving towards the end goals? The answer is by setting a theme for the team to align around. A theme is a directional mindset the team should use to think through building and optimizing the website. In our travel analogy, think of a theme as a compass in front of your team that aligns and directs them towards the correct destination. The strategist is leading the trip and determines which direction the team needs to change to. The theme is set by the strategist based on the maturity of the website, the site's current performance, team input, market conditions, and most importantly, feedback from real-world users of the website. After the strategist has decided a quarterly theme, they'll pitch it to the team and stakeholders at a quarterly summit meeting. The strategist must tell the story for why they chose the theme and back it up with the data they used to come to that decision. Once set, the entire team needs to rally behind the theme and use it to frame their work during the next few months. You should commit to a theme for a minimum of 3 months, as shifting themes too often makes it hard to discover any meaningful user learnings and build traction towards any particular direction. It's common to keep a theme for 6 to 9 months. So what are the themes on the website performance roadmap? There are 3 different themes: the established theme, the optimize theme, which we'll be focusing on today, and the expand theme. And now you'll be able to see, as I say, our focus for today. This is where optimize comes from in the growth-driven design framework. For now, just note the different themes in the roadmap. Let's quickly return to our travel analogy. Now that you have reset your direction using your compass, you can see there are 3 different roads you could take to get to the same place, the retreat. Now, you cannot take them all. You have to pick one road for the team to travel down to make progress towards the retreat. And that's where focus areas come in. So focus area is a lens through which the team can think about ideation, prioritization, and building action items. Focus areas really help your team to understand exactly what to work on, what not to work on, and why. In our travel analogy, a focus metric is like determining which of the 3 roads is the best to make progress towards your end destination. The road might change in the near future depending on conditions, but you need to select the best option for the team to travel down right now. Each theme has a different set of 3 focus areas or roads, and the focus area is selected again by the strategist when planning your current work cycle. The idea is to select only 1 focus area per cycle, but you might want to select 2 if you have enough resources devoted to your website improvement activities. Any more than 2, and your team will typically lose focus doing work without making any real traction in one area. To build user learnings and tractions, it's common to actually repeat a focus area for a number of months until you've made good progress on it. So just like themes, shifting focus areas too often can make it difficult to create real progress. And so what are the various focus areas included in the website performance roadmap? First, the established theme has 3 focus areas: harvest, audience, and value. The optimized theme, which we're focusing on today, has another 3: usability, conversion rate optimization, or CRO for short, and personalization, which we'll break down in a second. And then the expand theme also has 3 focus areas: product, journey, and teams. We'll be going into the other focus areas in future webinars. For now, note the focus areas under our theme of the day: optimize. Now, each focus area has a single metric that's associated with making progress on that focus area. This metric is called the focus metric. All ideas, action items, and how items are prioritized should be centered around improving that focus metric. Any ideas that don't directly impact the current focus metric should be moved down the wish list for future consideration. You are hopefully now see has a single metric that's associated with making progress on that focus area. This metric is known as the focus metric, and all ideas, action items, and how actions are prioritized should be centered around improving that focus metric. Any ideas that don't directly impact the current focus metric should be moved down the wish list for future consideration. And once the theme for the quarter has been selected and the focus area is established for the sprint cycle, it's time to look at the last element in the website performance roadmap: tactics. Tactics are the specific actions or categories of actions that your team can implement to impact the focus metric. In our travel analogy, imagine the tactics as the different types of vehicles you can use to travel down the selected roads. Different types of roads require different types of vehicles, just like different types of focus areas require different types of tactics. Each tactic might have its own set of metrics to measure to understand how it's performing. And it's common that these metrics are used as leading indicators to the overall focus metric of your current focus area. The options for tactics are seemingly endless. However, as we look at focus areas, we'll describe 3 examples to help build some context. And so these are all the elements of that website performance roadmap. First comes setting the overall direction with the theme. Today, that's optimize. Then selecting the best route or focus area to make progress. We'll dive into each of these next. And last, determining the specific tactics the team should think about implementing. This framework will help your strategist gain clarity around the work that will yield the highest impact for the team and the business. Alrighty then, so just what is the optimized theme? As I mentioned before, the optimized theme revolves around improving the user experience and the performance of the website for the business. An extremely important note here, improving user experience and improving performance for the business aren't always aligned. It's common for the scale to be tipped towards one or the other. For example, have you ever been to a website that slams you with pop-up after pop-up asking for your email before you even get a chance to see the page? Yes, we web designers know that that is annoying, and it's a horrible user experience. This is the case where the scale is tipped too far towards driving results for the business. On the other hand, there are websites out there that have amazing content and are simple to use, but make it hard for interested users to interact deeper with the company. No call to action, no website chats. Sometimes it can be even hard to find a contact us page. Assuming it's not a branding play, it's hard to see how a website like that is adding to business growth. In the optimized theme, then, your team will first lean into user experience and user value. Then slowly and carefully integrate user-friendly ways to interact with and nurture your website users to achieve your business goals that were set in the strategy stage. Once your strategist has set the optimized theme, it's then time to look at which focus area is best to attack during individual sprint cycles. The three focus areas under the optimized theme again are usability, CRO, and personalization. Let's dig into each one now. The first focus area under the optimized theme is usability. The goal of the usability focus area is to make sure the website is intuitive, inviting, and easy to use to help visitors solve problems, answer questions, and unlock value as quickly as possible. Incidentally, having completed the value focus area during the established theme, you'll already know that users are finding value in the majority of items on the website. The usability focus area then is all about helping them find that value as quickly and easily as possible. And that's not to say you didn't keep usability top of mind in the initial building. Of course, just like all the focus areas, these concepts are always being considered during that build phase. However, when you set a focus area, it's a chance for the team to really dig deep on a particular area to take it to the next level. In this case, you're looking at how you can take another step in improving the usability of the website. So what's the focus metric for the usability focus area? Well, usability is measured differently depending on the specific task or goal that the user has for visiting a web page or section. The first step is to understand what the user came there hoping to accomplish. With your previous work in the value focus area, you should have a good understanding of this. The focus metric will be the percentage of users landing on that page who successfully complete the desired action. Each page or flow will have its own desired action that you need to set. Once set, your team can measure completions by creating a custom event report and building a trigger around the desired user action. All action items you build while in the usability focus area should continue boosting the percentage of users completing that desired task. Moving one level deeper, let's take a look at 3 example tactics for your team to consider in the usability focus area. First, reducing the learning curve and cognitive load by designing interfaces familiar with what the user already knows. research the websites or apps that your personas use on a regular basis, and run experiments to mimic similar user interface elements. It's worth reiterating here that this is based on real research, not the opinions of your team or other stakeholders. Second, you'll want to run user testing on key tasks. Implementing user testing around key actions can uncover the specific areas users are struggling to complete desired tasks for. Look for the patterns in the user tests and validate those patterns by watching live user recordings to see if they match. These patterns will help identify the confusion folks are running into and ideas to implement in your next sprint cycle. When possible, include facial, video, or in-person user testing. Often the point of confusion comes out in their facial expression and not necessarily in what they say into the microphone. The next focus area under the Optimize theme is conversion rate optimization, or CRO for short. People across the industry have different definitions of what conversion rate optimization actually is. So here's how to think about CRO in regards to growth-driven design. Now, growth-driven design is made up of many puzzle pieces, CRO being an important one. There are paths or funnels that your users should travel through. At the end of one of these funnels is some type of conversion event, which often leads to a conversion of some sort. That could be purchasing a product or submitting an inquiry form, for example. Now, the goal of CRO is to eliminate the friction points and reduce the number of steps between a user entering the funnel and completing the end of funnel conversion event. The focus metric for CRO that you want to measure is the percentage of users entering the top of the funnel and successfully converting at the bottom. Keep in mind it's possible for users to enter mid-funnel and adjust your reporting accordingly. You can measure this by using a funnel report in your website analytics dashboard. Now, there are many different tactics, again, to consider when thinking about conversion rate optimization. Let's discuss just three of them. So first, you want to segment your users in your funnel to understand who they are, how they found you, and what actions they took earlier in their journey. You want to start by trying to identify commonalities between those who successfully converted at the end of the funnel and those who dropped off. This could be categorized by persona, device, geolocation, traffic source, or more. If you can clearly see patterns in those user segments who are successfully converting and those who are not, then your team can come up with a new action item to encourage more of the good behaviors correlated to converting. For example, if you see that 80% of those who successfully convert through the funnel have watched the explainer video on step 1, find ways to encourage more users in the funnel to watch the video. Second, it's common for humans to overcomplicate things, as you may have experienced. Work with the team to reduce the number of steps a user must take to get to the end conversion point. For example, instead of requiring the user to click a call to action, then visit a landing page, then fill out a form, then download an offer on the thank you page, try experimenting with an on-page slide-up lead capture form where all of those steps happen directly in one spot. Third, and this is my favorite one, don't be scared to try big ideas. They often yield the highest gains when they're successful. Avoid the trap of small incremental tweaks to try and boost conversion. And so the last focus area under the optimization theme is the personalization focus area. Traditionally, regardless of who the individual website user was, everyone has the exact same website experience. It could have been someone visiting the website for the first time, or it could have been a lifelong customer, but both users would receive exactly the same experience and information. This is clearly not perhaps ideal. Fortunately, with recent advances in technology, data becoming easier to collect and use, and frameworks like growth-driven design, we can now start to create personalized experiences for each of those key segments of our website users. That's exactly what the personalization focus area is all about, providing a hyper-relevant experience for each user or user segment to ensure they get the perfect experience for their needs. The focus metric in personalization is a little different. For personalization, your team will go back through all the previously mentioned focus area metrics and break each one down by the key user segments you're considering personalizing for. These segments could be created by persona, device, nationality, lifecycle stage, referral source, and more. Before we dive into tactics for the personalization focus area, there are 2 preparatory steps your team needs to take to make sure you're set up to do proper personalization. The first one is centralizing all company-wide data into one place. This includes website data, form completion data, CRM data, and marketing, sales, and customer support data. Pull all of that information to a single user contact record and a single company view. It will come as no surprise to you that we recommend the Hubspot CRM, the free product underlying all of Hubspot's functionality, as a great tool to manage your contact data, but there are a lot of other ones out there too. With all that information at your fingertips, the door to personalization swings wide open. The second thing is integrating a tool into your CMS or your content management system of your website that can pull from the centralized user data and dynamically change the content and experience being displayed to a specific user. You need to make sure that this tool is easy to use for non-technical folks, otherwise you risk developer bottlenecks. Again, you can save time, energy, and money by using software like Hubspot to simplify the company-wide data collection process and make it easy for non-technical team members to personalize experiences based on that data. Their CRM and CMS products are being crafted alongside one each other, not cobbled together in the dreaded Frankenstack. So with those 2 preparatory steps complete, here are a few tactics to consider in the personalization focus area. First, you'll want to segment all of the previous focus metrics, as I said, by your primary persona. Highlight any focus metrics that have a considerable drop between the original metric and your segmented metric. This is where your team should start. Second, you'll want to personalize key website elements based on device type. Many actions on a website, such as filling out a form, can be frustrating on a mobile device. Creating a separate mobile experience for specific website elements on a high-impact page can really boost performance. Third, you'll want to personalize for existing customers. Review the website and generate dynamic areas that display different calls to actions for customers versus prospects. Personalizing call to actions can be a great tactic to help customer success and drive cross-sell or upsell opportunities. Now, we're really just scraping the surface of what's possible with personalization. The important thing is to continually ask yourself, how can we tailor the experience for our most desired users at the most critical times? This question will ensure you're doing personalization with a purpose. And this really wraps up the optimized theme of the website performance roadmap. Now you know the 3 focus areas under optimize, usability, CRO, and personalization, and the potential tactics to consider for each one. As your website progresses and matures, the optimized theme is a great place to make sure that you're maximizing the performance of the website. As I said, we'll be doing future sessions, we'll be diving into each of the other themes and focus areas. And that's that for the presentation. To recap, the growth-driven design methodology starts with planning and research in the strategy phase, which concludes with the creation of a solid wish list. The wish list is built into the Launchpad website. In this phase, you're building a website that looks and performs better than what you have now, but isn't an end product. It's only a starting point for your website success. Then you'll start the continuous improvement phase, with month-over-month improvement, including the optimized theme that we've focused on today. Hopefully, you'll be starting to agree that this process is a great alternative to the existing nightmare of a launch with the set it and forget it method used in traditional website design. Now you're continuously improving, using the website to help all aspects of the business grow and seeing results each month. Of course, marketing and sales are layers that live on top of growth-driven design. You can think of growth-driven design like a car, but you still need fuel or marketing and sales for that car to drive. To develop a peak-performing growth business, you need all three working together as they're interconnected and working off each other. So hopefully you might be feeling, and I apologise for the technical difficulties, but a little bit inspired this morning to grow as a marketer, grow as a web designer, and to grow out of the broken traditional web design process and start building peak performing websites with growth-driven design.